I go to the gym, right? She's going through my laptop, my old conversations in WhatsApp, and I can see, oh, your computer has fully synced up with, and I see it on my phone while I'm working out, so I know what she's doing. First date, I went to Chili's, and by the way, I usually pick dinner dates. Even if it's my first date, I pick the dinner dates because, worst case scenario, if the date sucks, I still at least got my favorite meal. So I tried, of course, to be the respectable, stable guy, and they will sabotage that shit. Even cheat on you. You're the next problem for some reason. They're going to try and make you fulfill that role. You'll always have stories about this type of person. So I had a girl, and we're at her parents' house, right? She's in the bathroom getting ready. This was like a long-term girlfriend. We were almost together for like 9 months at this point. So understand this. Some people don't feel comfortable in peace. Like some dudes get run around like through, the swamps like a freaking pay pig. And some of them actually enable this behavior. If I could tell my younger self one thing in terms of all these red flags and all this crap I went through, it would be this. You ever meet up with a girl and within the first 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, this might be a dangerous situation. The chemistry hits. The conversation can be pretty easy sometimes, right? And, you feel switched on again just by being with that chick. And then there's a moment, right? There's always a moment, or at least a few. She says something about her ex. She reacts weird to something small that you say on the date or otherwise, and she snaps, right? Just a little, sometimes even. And your gut, I think everyone has this gut instinct. It says like, hold on, that's a red flag. And some of us, ignore the red flags, right? Because you like her, right? Because you want this to work. I think we've all been there. I think we all see this in our friends too. So, we basically become willfully ignorant or stupid, and you go colorblind to all of these red flags, right? So something that's bright and red to a normal person, you repaint it as gray, right? Just mentally. And you say, well, she just had a rough past, or she didn't mean it, or, this red flag here, it's not a big deal. We play it down a lot. And listen, that right there is how men walk straight into relationships that drain their time, their money, their sanity, and worst of all, the self-respect, right? And today we're not doing that. We're going to fix that right the fuck now. So today, I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to go through the 7 flags you do not ignore that I have on my notes here. So when I'm talking about this, I just want to let you know I'm not giving you theory for most of these. I'm giving you real situations that I had with a psychological lens from my past, because psychology is just a big interest of mine. That's what I graduated with, was a degree in psychology. So, number 1. Now, this one is number 1 for a reason. So, this is called the professional victim type chick, right? And this is the girl where really nothing is ever her fault, right? Every ex, toxic, right? Every boss that she's had, like out to get her, or coworkers too, or even, just anyone, they betray her, right? Now, I remember this one specifically. First date, I went to Chili's, and by the way, I usually pick dinner dates. Even if it's my first date, I pick the dinner dates because, worst case scenario, if the date sucks, I still at least got my favorite meal. So the first date, dinner dates are risky, but hey, when your boy wants Chili's, right? So anyways, we're sitting there, we're talking, and the pattern starts, right? Every guy before me was the problem. And it's, obviously a red flag just to even talk about exes on the first date. But regardless, we're here. And so in this moment, you feel bad for her. A lot of people fall into this, right? Because you want to be the good guy or show her that you're different, right? So you think, I'm completely different from this guy she's explaining. I'm going to treat her right. And yeah, I learned that freaking lesson the hard way. So, this is truly what happens with this type of person, that everything external of them causes them to be a victim, right? And a lot of the time, I just want to be real, this is trauma-based. But this is the part I think that nobody really tells people or focuses on. So if this type of victim person hasn't worked on their trauma, they're actually going to recreate that trauma, no matter what it is, no matter how barbaric it seems. I've literally been in situations in my life where I tried, of course, to be the respectable, stable guy, and they will sabotage that shit, even cheat on you, just to put themselves back into that chaotic, like abusive dynamic that they have trauma surrounding, right? And, a lot of this is crazy. It seems counterintuitive, but that's what their nervous system kind of recognizes as normal. So, number one, let that sink in. Now, you're over here trying to build something healthy in your life, right? As a guy, you want to build yourself up. And unconsciously, they're trying to return to dysfunction. And this is, of course, because of the trauma. So eventually, because they're working towards dysfunction or, kind of a resolve to the trauma, you will end up becoming the villain too, if they feel like they can cast you into it. And to them, everyone is the problem. And you're the next problem for some reason. They're going to try and make you fulfill that role. And self-accountability for these victim people, it's not an option. So if she can't take personal responsibility for her mistakes with anything, you're going to pay for that later. So that's it, flat out. Number two, this is kind of like the chaos junkie. And I think most people can feel this pretty instantly because it's insane, especially for someone like me. I'm like so chill, like by default. So if you haven't experienced this type of person, it almost sounds fake. Like when you'll always have stories about this type of person. So I had a girl and we're at her parents' house, right? She's in the bathroom getting ready. This was like a long-term girlfriend. We were almost together for like 9 months at this point. So I step on the scale. I hop on, everything just like normal. No emotion, no drama, just checking my weight. I was starting to get into fitness at the time, and it's just while she's getting ready in the bathroom, right? At her parents' house. And that's it, She ends up coming out once she's done fully getting ready for the day. And I can feel that emotional shift, right? And women make it obvious, right? So she's shut down, right? So I'm doing what most guys do. I'm asking, oh, what's wrong? Are you okay? What happened? Nothing. Nothing. That's their answer to everything. Like, what do you mean? Nothing. But they're emotionally shut off, right? Until, of course, finally, they'll eventually blow it up, right? In this case, she said, how could you weigh yourself in front of me? I'm self-conscious. And I'm sitting there like, what? Because one, I kind of didn't know that she was self-conscious about her weight. I think she's just trying to manipulate the relationship because firsthand, she has an amazing body or had an amazing body. Second, early in our relationship, we literally went to this like science, like planetarium. So it was like a cool, fun date at this really cool place called the Clark Planetarium in Salt Lake. And we stepped on these like gravity scales together, like where it says, oh, this is how much you'd weigh on Mars. All this nerdy stuff, right? And back then, when we did it on like our third date, it was no big issue, no emotion, nothing. But this time, when I stepped on the scale in front of her getting ready at the bathroom, just me, mind you, now it's a freaking problem, right? So understand this. Some people don't feel comfortable in peace. So they create chaos. And oftentimes they do this just to feel something familiar because the chaos is familiarity to them. And now for you, the chill dude, your regular day, your gym session, your mental clarity, your plans for a wonderful Sunday with your girlfriend is gone, right? It's burned in, a 3-hour argument that should have never freaking existed, right? That's not passion. That's not how relationships should be. That's just instability being acted out with you. So there you have it. Next one, red flag number 3. This is the financial entitlement. Now, I'm going to be real with you here. I haven't really dealt with this type of gold digger girl before, like this financial entitlement personally. Like, I think a lot of it is because I filter fast. Like, I can tell even from the profile or just how they present themselves, the superficial like energy. So I just filter that out flat out from the beginning. But here's what I have seen and what a lot of guys end up dealing with, especially where I'm at now, like all these older retired dudes coming to the Philippines and stuff. So there's this subtle entitlement that I can speak on. So it's like, you know, the free meal mindset where all the feminists are like, oh, the guy should totally pay, right? Now, look, if I invite a girl out, I'll pay. I think that's how it should go, really. No problem at all, right? I think because you're initiating everything, you know, do it. But pay attention just to her attitude, right? Does she even offer to split, like depending on the situation? Does she show appreciation? Does she say thank you? Or does she sit there like it's just expected, right? Because this is where a lot of guys get it twisted. They become blind to how they fucking treat you. And it's not even about the money, right? It's not about the freaking lunch or the coffee date or dinner, whatever it is. This is about the mindset. If she's not appreciative of you, if she doesn't value your time, why are you investing anything into her? Whether it's, you know, time, energy, money, all of it. You're not a freaking ATM. You're a man with standards and has value, especially beyond his money. So expect that. Like some dudes get run around like through, you know, the swamps like a freaking pay pig. And some of them actually enable this behavior. So just stop. Like, wake the fuck up. Next, number 4. This is the boundary issue. I'll just name it. So this one, this can get pretty dark sometimes. And I'll tell you. So I had a relationship where it felt like I wasn't even dating someone. It felt like I was being monitored across everything in my freaking life. So this girl recently, she had trauma from being cheated on, right? And whatever, understood. But instead of her healing it or finding out, you know, different people, different situations, right? Instead of doing that, she projected all of that insecurity onto me. So I go to the gym, right? She's going through my laptop, my old conversations in WhatsApp, and I can see, oh, your computer has fully synced up with, and I see it on my phone while I'm working out. So I know what she's doing. And, you know, stuff from even before we were together. She's checking these chats, right? Looking for something to be mad at me for, I think, you know, right? Because there's no boundaries there. There's no trust. And when she found that thing that she didn't like, right? Silent treatment. Out here in the Philippines, they call it dampo. So, of course, she just turns cold and it turns into just punishment for what, right? But I remember this one moment clearly. So I get another random notification from Telegram. We actually worked past, you know, the previous conversations where I've spoken to other girls in my past, believe it or not. So Telegram, I barely use it. I get spam message, you know, a fake account messages you. It happens all the time, right? I think everyone goes through this. So what do? I delete it, right? Like we just came back from shopping. I see the thing pop up, go into my conversations, delete it. She sees that from across the room. Apparently, somehow, I don't even know how she saw it. Honestly, she was at the whole other edge of the bedroom. And instead of just asking, she builds up a whole other story in her freaking head. And once again, she shuts down. So 2 days of silence, basically, just bitterness for 2 entire freaking days. And when we finally, you know, when she finally opens up to talking about it, because I was pissed too, it turns out it was based on nothing. Based, of course, on her glimpse, that assumption and story that she brought up into her head. Now, listen carefully. If someone needs to control you, to track you, and guilt you on specific things just to feel secure themselves, that's not love, my brother. That's a freaking leash. And that shit's gonna turn into like a choke chain before you know it, right? So if you stay with her, if you stay with this type of girl where there's no boundaries, you will slowly lose your freedom, your peace, your identity, and who you are. Everything about you. Big red flag. Next, red flag number 5. This is the hot and cold, like roller coaster ride type chick. So this one traps men a lot. And it's crazy because I'm the total opposite. But to a lot of people, this feels addictive because you get the highs, right? Like they're so amazing, right? The connection, the energy, the intensity, the passion, the love making, right? And then out of nowhere, everything just goes like the coldest of colds, like, just a cold day in hell for, everything. So distance, the one word replies, everything, all the emotional energy is gone. And now you're sitting there thinking, what did I do? And this can happen in such a short time span, like within the day sometimes, right? So some guys fall for the bait and they start chasing, right? They start texting back more, trying harder, or over giving during these cold times, right? And then suddenly she's back, right? She's warm again eventually when she's normalized or whatever the heck is going on, right? And you feel relief, right? Because maybe she got what she wanted and more. And then, you're not leading the relationship anymore. And that's the real problem. That's, the cycle is it's all around her. So it's enabling that addiction kind of mentality with the relationship. So it's the intermittent reinforcement of all, like, this whole cycle. And I've seen this pattern in girls who swing super emotionally, whether they know it or not, like manic to like depressive, right? And this is obviously something in psychology, but this is the deepest truth. A lot of, that comes from just how they saw love growing up or felt it. It's the high highs, the low lows, and the chaos essentially from that flux that they think is connection. So now the stability, a stable relationship, feels boring. And this is young women a lot. Like they confuse, the instability for love, right? So don't confuse this hyper stimulation with compatibility. That ain't it. That's just toxic behavior. That's a red flag. Red flag number 6. So this one I'll call just the mirror kind of flag. So this one can sometimes take time to see depending, but when you see it, it should be obvious, right? Like you should be able to answer, oh, is my girlfriend nice? And you'll be able to answer it, right? So watch by seeing how she treats people she's supposed to love, first and foremost. So family is usually the best. Sometimes you can even do like service workers or strangers, right? Like the chick taking her Starbucks order, whatever it is. You need to realize that how she treats other people matters, because one day you're just going to be kind of seen as another person. That fresh, puppy love phase is going to be gone. And most guys ignore how that chick treats other people, because in the beginning, of course, it's all fresh. She treats you amazing. She's going to give you everything in life, all the way up until you're married, right? But, that's the highlight reel. So she's showing you maybe not even her best personality, but she's maybe faking it to you, right? And you have to realize this. So when comfort sets in, and it's always, filtered like pretty well here. Like girls can hide it pretty easily. But I'm going to say this clearly because you can see the reflection in how she treats others. So if she can easily just publicly disrespect someone who, is doing nothing but being kind, trying to serve her, freaking pumpkin latte or whatever from Starbucks, and she's treating them bad, that's in her. And eventually it's going to be coming your way. So realize this. Red flag number 7. This is the validation addict type chick. So This one is everywhere now, right? This has been like hyper stimulated from social media, the Instagram, all of this type of crap, right? Social media has amplified this validation addiction behavior in women, especially. And I had this happen in even one of my early relationships back in like 2012, like 2011, after Facebook came out, right? So all of our arguments were basically public to her, like cryptic posts, passive aggressive captions about our issues, and even thirst trap like story posts or photos, like while she's in a relationship, right? And this is always framed as like, I'm building confidence and accepting my body, you know, I'm just expressing myself, right? And listen, I think most of the time that's just a huge freaking lie. Like, that's it, right? Because at some point, it stops being about expression. And I think a lot of women know this, because with that expression, they're being incentivized with tons of validation. Because for girls or a hot chick, man, you get tons of validation. I've seen this a lot here in the Philippines too. So girls will actually do full-on photo shoots, like in like the shopping districts or business park malls and all this stuff. And sometimes it's the boyfriend that's behind, you know, the phone camera, right? And I always joke, like, whenever I'm with someone or just in my own mind, I'm like, oh, you're taking her new dating app photos, right? So it's just a weird dynamic. But here's the truth, right? If she needs constant external validation, your attention will really never be enough. And this is probably where a lot of relationships go bad anyways, as they start seeking external instead of you. So you'll always be competing with strangers on the internet to make her feel loved, right? And that's fucked up. So that's it. That's the 7 red flags. What do you guys think? You know, I think with a lot of these, I've learned these lessons the hard way, and that's kind of why I incorporated them in. And I hope you guys enjoyed just me bringing some of my past into this, you know, because I think guys should not have their time, their energy, or their peace just squandered by who they're with. Because I see this all the time with guys. Like, they ignore all the red flags, right? So, you know, I'm tired of consoling my friends. So I decided to make this video to scale out, right? So take this all with a grain of salt for some of these, right? Because some red flags will pop up and it's not specifically a warning, specifically. But red flags definitely are predictions or indicators of their action. And you don't fix people who can't see that problem in themselves, like as that red flag, right? You don't outlove dysfunction, and you don't win by staying with them to try and fix it, right? You win by choosing yourself and valuing what you can control, which is only your fucking self. So if I could tell my younger self one thing in terms of all these red flags and all this crap I went through, it would be this. Don't ignore what you see early on just because you like how it feels, right? You have to keep your eyes open. You have to protect your peace, because that's the only thing you can control. Only they can change themselves. Only them. Only they can change their behavior and rehabilitate these things. You can't be responsible for every person in life, or even just the one person that you really want things to work with. If they have red flags, that's on them. Just like if someone needs to lose an extra 10 pounds, like, you know, not to be the stereotypical, oh, girls need to lose 10 pounds. But if it's an issue, if it's something traumatic and it's causing these red flags in their behavior, something's got to happen, right? And it's going to be on them. And really, that's it. So if this video hit, I want you to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Have you ever dealt with any of these like red flag situations? What was it? What red flags have I missed? And let me know. I want to hear everyone's horror stories when it comes to dating or relationships, because, man, we all have several of these situations, right? And you can feel it. So hopefully we see these red flags earlier and protect our peace. That's what it's all about. So thank you guys for hanging out. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.